Have you ever committed a crime or offense for which you've not been arrested? Hi, I'm Jim Hacking, immigration lawyer practicing law throughout the United States out of our offices in St. Louis, San Diego, and Washington, D.C. The application for naturalization, the N-400, has this crazy question that has been on the forums for a really long time. I saw some N-400s from 30 years ago, and that question was on there way back then. And I've always sort of giggled to myself, well, why in the world would they ask that question? Why would USCIS ask about uncharged crimes? Why would anyone ever answer yes to that? And then what happens if there's actually an issue with this? So it all came to light for me in a denaturalization case. So I had a client who had obtained his citizenship, and the federal government was trying to take away his citizenship. This is a pretty rare event, but I finally figured out why they asked that question. Now, first of all, let's pretend you're preparing your N-400 or you're getting ready to naturalize, and you come across that question. What exactly does it mean? Well, they already ask about arrests, they ask about charges, they ask about times you went to see a judge. In the old days, it was just that question, and then a question about, convictions, those two. Now there are many more questions that get to this issue of ever being in front of a judge or being charged with a crime. And so what this question is asking about is a crime that you have not been charged with. In other words, you've been doing something wrong, you've been doing something criminal, and the government just hasn't found out about it yet. They just haven't charged you with it yet. Now, generally, 99% of the time, people are going to say no to that question. Now, if you're thinking about applying for citizenship and you have been involved in criminal behavior and you're worried about answering that question, obviously that's one where you're going to want to talk to an immigration attorney and probably not file at all. The last thing you want to do at your naturalization interview is bring up criminal behavior that you've been engaged in. You'd be admitting it to a federal officer under oath. And you also wouldn't want to lie about it because that would be perjury and immigration fraud. So if you're actually in that very rare situation, probably not going to file for citizenship. But for everybody else, where this question really becomes important is in that denaturalization context. And so in my case, the client had applied for citizenship, and that was when I saw one of those really old N-400s. And on his N-400, he was asked, have you ever committed a crime or offense for which you've not been arrested? And he answered no, just like most people. Well, it turns out that a few years after he became a citizen, the federal government charged him with fraud and supporting terrorist activities overseas. And he ultimately pled guilty to some federal charges that were lesser charges than those I just mentioned. And he went to prison. And after he came out of prison, he received a letter in the mail from USCIS saying that he was going to be denaturalized, or that they were going to try to take away his citizenship. And he decided to fight it, and that's when he hired me. Well, it was at this point that, sort of like a ton of bricks, this question comes back to Jim, and I understand why they asked the question. The reason that they asked the question is they want to know if you are committing a crime, and if not, they want to be able to take away your citizenship, because what they said was he had lied in his citizenship application, that he had lied when he filed that N-400, and he lied when he answered no to that question, because the criminal activity that he ultimately pled guilty to after he became a citizen was actually happening while he was going through the naturalization process. Now, I thought this was all BS. I still am upset about this case. I'm still angry that he did, in fact, get denaturalized. And one of the things that made me the most mad was that they used this guilty plea against him, and it just sort of all fits together. Once the guilty plea happens, then by definition, you've almost admitted that you lied on that application. So this is, of course, one reason why whenever you're an immigrant charged with a crime, even after you've naturalized, you need to talk to an immigration lawyer. So it was a hard case, a sad case. I was very upset for a long time. I still am, probably why I'm shooting videos about it. But it's important for you to understand that the purposes of that question is to set up a denaturalization case later. That's the real purpose for the question. It's not so much that they think they're going to find Al Capone admitting to running illegal substances or something like that. It's that they think that they can take away your citizenship later if you plead guilty to a crime that they didn't know about. And of course, this is a pretty big crime, and it had the attention of the federal government. And so that is probably why his case got sent to denaturalization land. So if you have questions about that, or if you're worried about filing for citizenship and you want to hire an immigration lawyer to help you through the process, we handle these kinds of cases every single day. We also handle denaturalization cases for what that's worth. But in any event, and you want to hire an attorney, feel free to give us a call, 314-961-8200. You can email us, info@hackingimmigrationlaw.com. Be sure to join us, too. We have an immigration Facebook group. It's called Immigrant Home. We have thousands of immigrants in that group talking about the immigration process. We'd love to have you there. That's a free resource for you. And then we also have our YouTube channel, where we have hundreds and hundreds of videos like this one. And if you subscribe to the channel, you'll get updated whenever we make videos like this one. And you'll also be able to find out when we're going live on our Immigration Answer Show, which we do 3 or 4 times a week. And that's just me answering immigrants' questions for an hour. So we'd love to connect. Please feel free to reach out, especially if you want to hire us. And again, that number is 314-961-8200. Have a great day.